Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our WCNFluencer podcast. And goodness gracious, St. Ignatius, look who I have on the screen here. It's Helen Bauer from the Heart of Hospice podcast.
Good to see you, Chris.
Helen, I'm just going to say happy Friday because we were recording this on Friday, but people are going to watch this and listen to it on any day of the week. But Fridays are always fun.
They always feel better, don't they? It's the pre-weekend.
It's the pre-weekend. It's the weekend eve. So you got any weekend plans this weekend? So tell everybody what you're going to be doing. Yeah.
I'm recording my podcast.
You're recording. That's right, because you have a schedule that you adhere to. You record on Saturdays and post new episodes every Friday on the Whole Care Network. And I think we're starting our second or our third year of collaboration.
We are. It's been wonderful. We love being part of the Whole Care Network.
Well, I appreciate that. And I love having younger sisters. And I know all of our listeners throughout the vast network of the Whole Care Network appreciates the content that you bring, because it's such a delicate topic that you discuss, yet you discuss it so easily and matter-of-factly that makes people feel comfortable about a topic that is often misunderstood.
I hope it makes people feel comfortable. As a hospice nurse, I'm perfectly at ease having those conversations, but I never lose sight of the fact that it's very awkward and sometimes very sad and brings up a ton of emotion for someone else to have that conversation. I always try to remember the impact that it has on other people.
Yeah, because the journey, I say this lightly, it's a buzzword for sure, but the journey is different for each individual and each family. And it's whether you're faith-based or not, it's still a component of life that is not often talked about in a way that makes people feel comfortable. And you've really achieved that.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Well, and I thought I'll have to edit this one out too, but I just that's kind of what attracts us together in one sense, because we're kind of like-minded in a way of giving and providing information to people that we believe in and that's trustworthy. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And you just had a special series that I'd like you to talk about.
Yes, we were fortunate enough to partner with Sanford Healthcare with their palliative care team. Several of the team members helped us do a 4-part series that focused on palliative care versus hospice care, what it looks like, when to use it, how palliative care is always part of hospice care, but not all palliative care is hospice, because it can be a little bit confusing even for healthcare people. And of course, 2 of the interviews that we did were with caregivers. And we felt like that was really important to pull those voices in, because when we talk about a team or a caregiving village, we're talking about everybody who takes part in the care of that person with a serious illness. That includes the healthcare team, whether it's palliative or hospice, and that includes their caregivers. They may or may not be family members, so I don't typically say family members. I say caregivers. But caregivers have to have a voice. And so this 4-part series, we've talked with a palliative care physician, a palliative care board-certified chaplain, a social worker, and just amazing conversations around palliative care. We also focused in on neurodegenerative diseases. One of the physicians we talked with specializes in Parkinson's and the treatment and management and palliation of Parkinson's symptoms. And that's one of the biggest, fastest growing groups of hospice patients who utilize Medicare, is the neurodegenerative diseases, so Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. So we have one episode in the series that focuses on that. And these are the people at the bedside providing the care. They're also involved in the education of other healthcare professionals and providers at Stanford. So it's a really fantastic series. It's one of the best that we've done.
Yeah, it was really great to see how that all developed. But you said a 4-letter word, Helen, that it's so important.
Which one?
And team. Team.
Oh, yes.
Yes. As I've experienced hospice as a CPE student and then as a caregiver, the word team has always resonated with me when I interact with somebody in hospice, because it really is a team that everybody interacts with the patient and with the caregiver.
How could anybody possibly do such a big job by themselves? How could they do it by themselves? When I think about these folks that are solo caregivers, I can't fathom what it costs them in their health, mental health, physical health, finances, time, relationships, work, their paying jobs. I
Mhm.
can't fathom how anybody could do it alone. So the team has incredible strength. And the fact that it's an interdisciplinary team, or the
Right.
term that's being kicked around these days is transdisciplinary. So that's just to basically give you a vision of the team as being across. There's no hierarchy. It doesn't start with the physician and go all the way down to a certified
Right.
nurse's aide. It's people talking across and working across, each bringing their skills into the center of this circle at which the patient and the caregiver are centered.
We're all a part of the care team,
Right.
and there's no hierarchical. That's always been a hard word for me. Maybe that's from my day. Maybe that's from my days in the seminary, but I've always had a hard time saying that word. The hierarchical structure, when it comes to care, everybody brings their talents and skills to the team in order for the team to be successful.
Absolutely. Because so the way I have always viewed it, it's like a tire, a circle with the patient in the middle and the caregiver as part of that. So each person brings their skills and their strength, and it inflates and holds up this tire. Well, if you remove a piece of it, say the family refuses it because they don't understand the care of the social worker or the chaplain, or they want to be super independent despite the fact that they could use the help, and they don't want to use the aid. So they take
Mm,
that out. Well, then the tire is flat and the
right.
wheel flops along. It's bumpier when it could be much fuller and smoother a ride if you have everybody on the team, they're in the circle surrounding, bringing their skills to the care. That's the way I envision it in my head.
I think you have a good vision. it's
Thank you.
yeah. I, I want to shift gears just a little bit and kind of put you on the spot, because I do that to younger sisters at times. So
Bring it on.
yeah. So what's changed in hospice over the years for you?
For me, as a hospice nurse, I have become more open-minded, more aware of the bias in the language and my perception of other people and what they should and should not be doing in their own care. The word non-compliant,
Yes.
is sometimes used as a way of negating people's right to choose how they want to do things. Non-compliant with your meds. You can choose to do that if you want to.
You
There are
can choose.
consequences, right? But
Right.
but recently, within the last year or so, I've become aware of this habit we have of saying your loved one is the person
Yeah.
you're taking care of. For so many caregivers in the United States, that is not an accurate
It's
portrayal of the relationship.
exactly. Mm.
Yeah. So I have learned to be open-minded, and it makes you really aware of your own shortcomings. So learning, I think, has become a bigger issue.
Hmm.
My language, my approach, and my open-mindedness, that has, I think it's just changed me in general as a person, but as a hospice professional, I think that's how it's moved for me the last few years.
That's so beautiful, Helen, because in that uh, discovery, you've transitioned that into the Heart of Hospice podcast, where you've taken your vast knowledge and experience and using that in a way to make people feel comfortable about this. You can talk to professionals like you often do on the podcast, and you can talk to caregivers who are in the trenches, and that conversation is similar. There's no hierarchical structure in the way that you deliver the message. And that's why I believe the Heart of Hospice is so successful, is because you've taken your experience from when you first were a nurse to what you've gained over your career, and be able to transmit that to people in a way that allows them to feel comfortable and understand.
I think there's incredible value from every single one of those voices. So we have 560 episodes over the last 9-10 years that we've been doing this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And over 200 interviews. I sat down and I counted them out not too long ago. And when I look at the different people that we've been able to talk to and amplify their message and their mission, I am so impressed by every single one of my guests. They all had something that adds in. Every caregiver has a perspective that has value to somebody else that's out there, even if it's just one person that benefits from an episode. That's one person that maybe got a better night's sleep as a caregiver or a patient or a healthcare provider. And really, that's enough.
It just kind of goes with that old adage that I've said for years. It's through story sharing where diversity meets the road to collaborate on a common cause. And it's our stories that connect each other. That's why when it comes to caregiving and caregivers, they're no strangers. We all know each other.
And there's incredible diversity in an interdisciplinary team.
Very much so.
Right. And everybody brings the necessary skills. We really shouldn't and really can't do it well without each person.
I always like to use the baseball analogy. You have a baseball team. You can't have 9 home run hitters on that team. Your team would not do very well. You have to have a variety of talents and skills on the team. You have to have that pinch hitter. You have to have that good defensive player. And that's what I see on not on the hospice teams, but the caregivers teams, that you have so many people that have different talents and skills. Use them to the best of the ability so that care partner, well, you use the generic word, the care partner gets the best service that they can possibly get.
I had a conversation with a woman who lives overseas, and her 2 siblings are the caregivers for her dad. One of them a primary caregiver because dad lives very close. And my colleague who said, I'm not a caregiver because I live at a distance. And then she went on to give a little laundry list of how she goes home twice a year and allows her sister to go out of town. And I said, you're a remote caregiver. That's a type of caregiver.
Yeah, it's a type of caregiver, sure.
Yeah, if you're supporting the person who's being the primary caregiver, you're a remote caregiver. And those skills and talents and the time that you dedicate to that are really important. If you're doing online banking for your person, if you order groceries to be delivered to your person, you're a remote caregiver.
You're part of the team. That's what makes the team successful.
Right. There's more than one type of caregiver. There really is. I think they're ingenious with their solutions, and goodness knows they're courageous and they have resilience and endurance. They grit their teeth and they move forward through situations that are heartbreaking and backbreaking a lot of times.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. I think we've known each other for years instead of just 3.
It feels like it. That's what, when you have an older brother, that's how it works.
That's, I don't get that word too often, older brother. I like that. Usually it's the younger brother. So goodness. So, but I'd be remiss without also asking you to talk about hospice navigation services.
Hospice navigation services. I think it's a wonderful service myself. We have a service that can be conducted either by phone or by video, according to the client's choice. And it offers information, education, and support for anyone who needs information about end-of-life care. We don't do clinical or legal advice on those calls, but we do talk about hospice philosophy. We answer questions, which is a very common thing. We troubleshoot your current hospice experience. If you are having something involved in your care that you're not sure about or you're questioning, or you're being discharged and you don't know that if that's a fair and right discharge, you can talk to us. We can give you some guidelines about what to do with that. We talk about advanced care planning. We can do family conference to get everybody on the same page about end-of-life care. And we're happy to talk about any of those things on a hospice navigation session. Right now, we offer a 30-minute free session, one per client, and we offer a fee-for-service 60-minute session for $95. Very easy to use. If you purchase a 1-hour session and you want to do it by video, we can have up to 3 people. And really, it's a great way to get everybody getting the same information at the same time. And one of the best things about me as a hospice navigator is Hospice Navigation Services is not affiliated with any hospice agency. So the information you're getting is based on over 15 years experience in end-of-life care, and it's unbiased. I have nothing to sell you but good information to make your experience with end-of-life care better.
I got to add something. Good and trusted information.
Trusted, absolutely. And we think it's affordable. For a 30-minute free session, there's a lot we can get done in 30 minutes.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Helen, you're just awesome.
Thank you. Right back at you, Chris MacLellan.
Yeah. So let all of our listeners and our viewers, I'm trying to go big time with these videos. I got to get viewers in there. Let them know how they can be in contact with you, how they can listen to the Heart of Hospice and access the hospice navigation services.
You can find the Heart of Hospice podcast on our website, theheartofhospice.com. All 560 episodes plus are there. You can also find us on the Whole Care Network. If you're already in there looking, you can find us in the directory. And of course, the podcast is on all the major podcast platforms. If you're interested in booking a hospice navigation session, go to theheartofhospice.com. You can click on the page for navigation services there and choose and book through the website. It's very easy. Book and pay there. There are lots of options for hours. We have hours that differ from weekday to weekday so that you can choose something based on where you are in the United States and make it convenient for your schedule. If you want to connect with me, you can shoot me an email at helen@theheartofhospice.com.
And we'll have all of this information in the show notes and the message box below. I can still trying to figure out this YouTube thing. Where do I point? I see some people, look here, look there. It'll be there. So no worries. But Helen, with the great work you're doing, you are certainly a WCNFluencer, and I can't be so happy to be connected with you. Thank you for everything that you have done to make a difficult conversation just a little bit easier for so many of families and caregivers.
Thank you, Chris.